So this video was going to be, look at this tiny cheap camera and what you can do with it sort of video. It's one of my usual videos and I wrote the whole script and everything. But I think we're long overdue for a chat about the state of the YouTube photography community. I want to use this camera as an example to show you that you can get great photographs regardless of your budget. And sometimes your money is better spent on honing this rather than this. This is the Lumix LX15 or the LX10 to some people in the world, and I got this used for £189. It came out in 2016. It has a 1-inch 20 megapixel sensor and it has a fixed lens that doesn't come off. It's a Leica branded f1.4 to f2.8 lens, so you can get loads done with something like this. I'm in Costa Rica at the moment. This is hotel number 11. I've run out of fingers. I've been here for around a month and I've seen so much. And this little cheap camera has been my sort of everyday carry throughout the trip. Now, the reason that this has been playing on my mind is I'm here with friends, but also as part of a larger sort of adventure group that travel together, all strangers. And on day one, we did the thing where we sit down and say hello. Automatically, I said, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a professional photographer." And then I just had this moment because I realized that I planned on shooting this for the majority of the trip. And all these strangers who have now assumed that I'm a professional will see me with this. There were hobbyists in the group that had more expensive cameras than this. It really blew my mind to think that I became insecure about my decades of experience because I didn't have a camera that looks like this all the time. I thought, people won't believe me, people think I'm exaggerating, people will think I'm a fraud. And I realized very quickly that I've been conditioned recently to equate skill, or even worse, self-worth as a photographer with the equipment that I use. And how toxic and stupid is that? Because photographers in 2016 would have scrambled for this and would have got amazing photographs with it and thought it was like the pinnacle of technology. I think we've all got a little bit lost amongst the way between tech and photography. And they're two different things. The idea is what matters at the end of the day. It's the thing that you see in your head as you look at a scene and how you want to put all the pieces together. And this is just a tool to take this out of your head and into a digital or film arena. And 99% of all cameras nowadays will be able to do just that. It's the idea and not the gear. So I had a lovely, freeing time. I enjoyed the holiday. I had so many tremendous experiences and I took some really nice photographs without it taking up too much space in my bag, and it didn't get in the way. It just did the job. Now, that being said, I think it'd be very disingenuous for me to sit here and go, all you need is a cheap compact camera to do everything, because of course that's a lie. When does gear matter? I like to imagine it as like a big Venn diagram of photography. And in the middle, we have everyday carry, travel, street photography, family events, everyday life, those sorts of things. And that is where every single camera on the planet, including your phone, will do the job. It's these niche little bubbles that you need specialist equipment for. For example, wildlife photography. The reason that I did take this and not use it sort of every day and just for specific parts of this trip was for wildlife. This has technology that compact cameras obviously won't have, and it gives you advantages in that arena. Another example of the niche elements where you do need specific types of gear is I've had a load of fun with this, which is the Insta360 Go 3. It's tiny. You wouldn't want to do a canyon swing with the G9 Mark II strapped to your head. It's the right gear for the right scenario. I think people don't often audit what they want to photograph before they jump and get a high-end camera. Some people might buy the most expensive camera in the world, but only do the things that are in this middle bubble and none of the niche things. So gear matters in certain aspects, of course it does. For example, I was on a raft safari, literally going at moderate speed down this river, and I saw a bird on a branch, and my G-Daddy, my G9 Mark II, he's called G-Daddy. The original G9 is Baby G, obviously. G-Daddy took this photograph at at speed with a burst mode, captured it perfectly in focus as I was flying past on a raft. So going back to the LX15 or the LX10, it does have a built-in macro mode, and the quality of the lens I think is superb. I got some good macro shots of butterflies, for instance. It's a great example of having sort of one of those cameras in the middle of the diagram, also being able to do some of the niche stuff as well. Like, this camera isn't even terrible for video. I really enjoy that it has a flip-up screen, so you can sort of shoot from the hip quite nicely. And while it doesn't have any optical stabilization, because the sensor is so small, the digital stabilization does a damn good job. In 2016, this was actually one of the more popular vlogging cameras, believe it or not. So if you do choose to go down the compact camera route for an everyday carry, which I think is very, very doable, there are a couple of mods that I've added to this camera, just to enhance the whole experience a little bit. First of all, if you have a camera with a pop-up flash, I've added a little bit of masking tape to it. And all this does is it just diffuses the flash a little bit. So if you are in sort of like a going out with friends or family sort of environment and you want to get that sort of Polaroid look that's a little bit less harsh, I think just adding a little bit of masking tape to your built-in flash makes it a lot better. The second thing, which has thwarted me in the past, is cheaper compact cameras don't often have filter threads at the front. Now, in the past, I have resigned myself to like holding the filter in front of the camera and hoping for the best. But this time, I was not to be thwarted. I've got what is called mag filter. And there's a little magnet on here and a magnet on here. And now I can add my ND filters and my mist filters, and this cheaper camera has now got a heck of a lot more functionality with just a tiny little mod. And it doesn't affect it going down as well. You can just about see the magnet on here, and it doesn't affect the camera opening and closing. Super cool. So this trip has made me realize the joys of everyday carry exponentially more than usual, and you know I'm already a fan. This is Hotel 11, as I say, and we've packed and unpacked, and we've got a day bag for this event, day bag for this activity, going out at night. This little thing is rugged as hell. I've thrown it in my big backpack, I've thrown it in my little backpack, and it lives in my pocket, and it's just done great. G-Daddy, God bless it, has only been out a few times because life is too short when you're in 90% humidity and 37 degrees to be carrying this around as an everyday carry. Of course, I've had to be a little bit wary of weather sealing because we went to the Caribbean side and it was rainy season. We went to the cloud forest, it was very humid, and lots of beaches. And so the front element doesn't offer you much protection against the elements. So you just have to have a little bit of common sense, but it's done fine. In terms of use, I love that this camera has a dedicated aperture ring. It feels very tactile when you use it, and I think it would be a brilliant street photography camera for this because you can quickly change your settings, toes that line between a consumer-friendly camera and something that we can get to grips with. It shoots RAW, it's got full manual settings, etc. So if you are looking for a cheap everyday carry camera to complement your fancy gear, or perhaps you're looking to get into photography, I would highly recommend this little dude. But more than that, I hope that this demonstrates that if you do want to get better at photography, as I assume we all do, it's a passion that you get for life. I think once you get the bug for photography, I just want to say that if you have a camera already and it does the job, don't feel like you have to buy a £1,000, £2,000, £3,000 camera or lens or anything else. If you have a little bit of money to burn, honestly, buy a workshop from your favorite photographer. Go out and buy a trip. Think about photo books, education. Those things will hone this, and that will set you so further along your journey than honing this. Because at the end of the day, this controls this, and if this hasn't got any more progression since the last shiny thing that you've bought, you're going to get exactly the same results. However, I'm not being camera police. You're going to see me this year buy some very silly impulse purchases because cameras are my hobby and my collection and also my job. If you've got money to burn and you want to buy a new piece of gear, go for it, of course, but use the new purchase as inspiration. Use it to get that fire inside of you to go out every weekend and shoot photography. Don't use it as a magic bullet and think you can throw money at this situation and get better. Use your gear to inspire you and sort out this before this. So if you're inspired by this video, check out my other compact camera video where I create some good professional wall art with a very, very cheap camera.